Welcome to the third session on functional analysis. In this session, we will be continuing our discussion on quotient spaces. First, I will introduce a new concept or new definition. Let E be a linear space and E1 be a subspace of E. Then we say that vectors, vectors x1, x2, etc. xn of E are linearly independent relative to E1. So we have already defined what is linear independence. Here it is linearly independent relative to E1 if summation I equal to 1 to n ai xi element of E1 implies all the scalars ai are 0. So for I equal to 1 to etc. up to n, ai equal to 0. That means whenever a linear combination of x1, x2, etc. xn are in E1, then the only possibility is that the scalars ai are all are 0. Or in other words, we can say that span of x1, x2, etc. xn intersection E1 contains only the 0 vector. This is meant by few vectors are linearly independent relative to a subspace. For example, if we take our R3, we know that it's a linear space, and I am taking E1, this is my E, and if I am taking E1 as set of all 0, 0, Z, where Z element of R. This is our Z axis. It is a subspace of E. In this space, if E is R3 and E1 is this space, then the vectors, I am taking x1 as 1, 0, 0 and x2 as 0, 1, 0. x1 and x2 are linearly independent relative to E1 because suppose some a1 x1 plus a2 x2 is in E1. a1 x1 means a1 0 0, a2 x2 means 0 a2 0. So if we add them, we will get a1 a2 0. This is in E1. So if something is to be in E1, its first coordinate and second coordinate must be equal to 0. So this means a1 equal to a2 equal to 0. So a1 x1 plus a2 x2 element of E1 implies a1 equal to a2 equal to 0. Therefore x1 x2 are linearly independent relative to this E1. So this is meant by linearly independent relative to a subspace. Now we will move on to a lemma. This lemma says that, as in the definition, we may take E as a linear space and E1 is a subspace of E. Okay. Then we can think about the quotient space E over E1. So the dimension of quotient space E over E1 is equal to n if and only if there exist vectors x1, x2, etc. xn in E such that x1, x2, etc. xn are linearly independent relative to E1. So the first quality that x1, x2, etc. xn should have is x1, x2, etc. xn should be linearly independent relative to E1. Not x1, it is E1. And one more thing is there, if small x is an element of E, you take any vector from E, x can be written as a linear combination of x1, x2, etc. xn, summation I equal to 1 to n aixi, plus an element of E1 in a unique way. That means these scalars, for unique scalars a1, a2, etc. an, and unique y in E1. Okay, so dimension of E over E1 is equal to n if and only if we can find n vectors x1, x2, etc. xn which are linearly independent relative to E1, and every element of E can be expressed as a linear combination of these vectors and an element of E1 in a unique way. If this is true, then the cosets corresponding to this x1, x2, etc. xn forms a basis for E over E1. This will be a basis for E over E1. So if we prove that x1, class x1, class x2, etc. class xn forms a basis for E over E1, then that means dimension of E over E1 is equal to n. Or if we take dimension of E over E1 is equal to n, then that means the quotient space E over E1 has bases with exactly n elements. Okay, now we may prove this lemma. So first I am taking dimension of E over E1 is equal to n. Therefore, E over E1 has a basis which contains n elements. I am taking this basis as class x1, class x2, etc. class xn. So there exists such a basis. Now I have to prove that x1, x2, etc. xn are linearly independent relative to E1, and for each x element of E, this expression x equal to summation I equal to 1 to n aixi plus y, this expression is unique. We have to prove these two facts. So first I am trying to prove x1, x2, etc. xn are linearly independent relative to E1. For that I am taking suppose summation I equal to 1 to n aixi is in E. If not in E, in E1. So if this is in E1, the coset corresponding to this element is E1, means class 0. E1 means class 0. So this means class of summation I equal to 1 to n aixi is equal to class of 0. And this implies what is meant by class of x plus y. It is class x plus class y. Similarly, class of ax is a times class x. So we can express the left hand side as summation I equal to 1 to n ai class xi equal to class of 0, and class of 0 is the 0 vector of E over E1. Okay, and this class x1, class x2, etc. class xn forms a basis of E over E1. If this is a basis, if this thing is a basis, then it is linearly independent. So if their linear combination equal to 0, all the scalars must be equal to 0. So this means ai equal to 0 for I equal to 1, 2, etc. n. So, if summation I equal to 1 to n ai xi is in even, then ai equal to 0 for I equal to 1, 2, 3, etc. to n. This means that x1, x2, etc. xn are linearly independent relative to E1. Okay, so we proved the this first property of x1, x2, etc. xn. Now we have to show that for each x element of E, there is a unique expression as given. So, let x be an element of E. Then, corresponding to x, we have a class x, coset of x in E over E1. Okay. Then, class of x. This class of x is in E over E1, and we have taken that class x1, class x2, etc. class xn, this thing. Class x1, class x2, etc. class xn forms a basis for E over E1. So, this class x can be expressed as summation I equal to 1 to n ai class xi in a unique way. For unique a1, a2, etc. an. And the reason for this is class x1, etc. class xn. This is a basis for E over E1. This is the reason. Now, what about class summation I equal to 1 to n ai class xi? It is same as class of summation I equal to 1 to n ai xi. Okay. And this we can say that this says that class of x and class of I equal to 1 to n ai xi are same. So, remember this. If class x equal to class y, then x minus y is an element of E1. So, these two classes are equal. Therefore, we can say that x minus summation I equal to 1 to n ai xi is an element of E1. I will call this as y. Okay. Therefore, I can say that x minus summation I equal to 1 to n ai xi is equal to y, or x is equal to summation I equal to 1 to n ai xi plus y. So, we can express x as a linear combination of x1, x2, etc. xn and an element of E1. So, this is in E1 because the left hand side belongs to E1. So, the right hand side is also in E1. Now, we have to prove the uniqueness of such an expression. For that, assume that x can be written as summation I equal to 1 to n ai xi plus y1, as well as we can express x as the same x as summation I is equal to 1 to n bi xi plus y2. Okay, where this y1 and y2 are in E1. Ai's and bi's are scalars. So, both of these expressions represent the same element x. Therefore, we can say that summation I equal to 1 to n ai xi plus y1 minus summation I equal to 1 to n bi xi plus y2 is equal to 0. Okay, and this means summation I varies from 1 to n. Here we have ai xi, here we have bi xi. Xi's are same, so we can write this as summation ai minus bi times xi plus y1 minus y2 is equal to 0. Okay, and this means summation I equal to 1 to n ai minus bi times xi is equal to y2 minus y1. But this y2 and y1 both are in even. This y2 and y1, y1 and y2 are in even. Therefore, y2 minus y1 is an element of even. So, this is in even. And we have proved that x1, x2, etc., xn are linearly independent relative to E1. Okay, now this left hand side is a linear combination of xi and it is in E1. This means all the scalars, here the scalars are ai minus bi, all the scalars should be equal to 0. So this means ai minus bi equal to 0 for all I equal to 1 to etc. n. This means ai equal to bi. So all the scalars, these ai's and bi's are equal. a1 is equal to b1, a2 equal to b2, etc. an equal to bn. If they are equal, if ai minus bi equal to 0 for all I, then look at this equality. The left hand side of this equality will be 0. Means y2 minus y1 is equal to 0. If y2 minus y1 is equal to 0, then y1 equal to y2. So, the expression of x as a linear combination of x1, x2, etc., xn and an element of E1 is it is unique. Okay, so our one-way implication, first part of the theorem is over. We have proved that if dimension of E over E1 is equal to n, then x1, x2, etc., xn satisfies star. Now we have to prove the converse. That is, if x1, x2, etc., xn are linearly independent relative to E1, and we can express each x element of E as a linear combination of x1, x2, etc., xn and an element of E1 in a unique way, then class x1, class x2, etc., class xn satisfies, they form a basis for E over E1. That's we have to prove next. Okay, then we are assuming that star is true. Star means in the statement of lemma I have marked that condition as star. So I am going to prove that class x1, class x2, etc., class xn are linearly independent in E over E1. For that, summation I equal to 1 to n ai class xi equal to 0. Assume that this is equal to 0. So this means class of summation I equal to 1 to n ai xi is equal to class of 0. And this means summation I equal to 1 to n ai xi is in E1, because otherwise this class will not be equal to class of 0. If this is in E1, by our assumption star holds. What is star? Okay, this is star. x1, x2, etc. xn are linearly independent relative to E1. We have assumed that. So from that we will get ai equal to 0 for all I. So if summation I equal to 1 to n ai xi equal to 0, then ai equal to 0 for all I. Therefore class x1 etc. class xn are linearly independent in E over E1. Okay, now if it is a basis, it should span the entire E over E1. That we have to prove next. Suppose class X is in E over E1. Then we know that this X is an element of E. And by our assumption star, this X can be expressed as summation I equal to 1 to n aixi plus y, okay, where ai's are scalars and y is an element of E1. If X can be expressed in this way, what about class of X? Class of X will be summation I equal to 1 to n ai class xi plus class of y. But y is in E1, then class of y is nothing but class of 0. Okay, so that we get class of x is equal to summation over I equal to 1 to n ai class xi. That means span of any element of E over E1, any element of E over E1 can be expressed as a linear combination of class x1, class x2, etc. class xn. So span of coset of x1, etc. coset of xn is the entire E over E1. Okay, thus we can say that here we have they are linearly independent. Now we have it spans E over E1. Therefore class x1 etc. class xn is a basis for E over E1. Okay, thus if this is a basis, dimension of E over E1 is nothing but n. Thus we proved the entire lemma. Go through the proof once more and understand it well, and we will move on to our next session, normed spaces, in our next class. All the best, study well.